LEGO Ninjago is known for producing some of the most unique and creative LEGO sets ever made. Over the years, we've got dragons, mechs, temples, vehicles, and some absolutely incredible builds, but let's be honest, not every set is a masterpiece. Some of them are just not great. So today we're going to be looking at the worst Ninjago set from every season, starting from the pilots all the way to Dragon's Rising Season 4. And here are some rules. 1, it cannot be a 4+ set. 2, it has to be a significant build. And 3, no polybags. But before we get into the video, I want to mention that about a month ago we hit 2,000 subscribers, and then, well, almost nothing happened. I mean, we've got 35 subscribers since. I know my upload schedule, especially for long form videos, hasn't been great. Summer has been pretty busy. I've been on vacation, but I am going to try and get more content out. So if you do enjoy these videos and want to help support my channel, I really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button. My next goal is 3,000 subscribers, of course, and every single subscription helps. With that out the way, let's get into the video. So starting with the pilot season, the OG wave that introduced us to Ninjago, honestly, I like every set from this wave. It's one of the most important LEGO waves ever because it established the entire theme. That being said, if I had to pick one of the weakest, it would have to be the Spinjitzu Dojo. Now this set is supposed to represent the monastery of Spinjitzu, but let's be honest, it really doesn't. I understand why LEGO didn't make a huge monastery at that time. After all, Mr. I Follow Cuckoo Birds decided to leave it completely unguarded and let it burn down. No offense. In simpler terms, the monastery wasn't going to be as important to the story as the dragons, the vehicles, so LEGO probably decided to save the budget and make smaller version instead. Don't get me wrong, I still like this set. I love every set from 2011, and I just think this one ended up being the most underwhelming set of the bunch. Moving on to Season 1, Rise of the Serpentine, this wave gave us some fantastic snake themed sets like the Rattlecopter, Fangpyre Trunk Ambush, Lash's Bite Cycle, Fangpyre Wrecking Ball, and then what is that? Seriously, everything about this set confuses me. It honestly looks like Lash's Bite Cycle if someone decided to give it arms and legs. The mech from the show looks absolutely nothing like this, and I think LEGO just tried way too hard with the design. And don't even get me started on the minifigures. Why does Lash have a random banana? Genuinely have no explanation for that. The worst Cole minifigure you can get. The arms barely function, the overall design is awkward, and the whole thing is just meh. Now for Season 2, there aren't many sets to choose from. Most of them are really solid, but if I had to choose one, it'd be the Warrior Bike. I actually think this is a fun little set, but the biggest issue is the exposed Technic pieces. A lot of LEGO sets from the early 2010s had this problem. Bigger builds would have had exposed studs everywhere, and vehicles would have Technic beams sticking out, making it feel unfinished. The Warrior Bike definitely suffers from that. It still has some nice play features and a decent minifigure selection, but compared to every other Season 2 set, this one comes in last for me. Again, I still like it. Season 3 on the other hand had some fantastic sets as well, but the weakest one for me is definitely the Destructoid. Now, I don't know what it is, but I've just never liked the design. It looked kind of awkward and unfinished. Honestly, I think if this had been a larger set with more play features, it would have at least been 3 times better. It also suffers from the exact same problem as the Warrior Bike with exposed Technic pieces, making it look incomplete. Although, to be fair, it's a 2014 set, so I can't be too harsh. The minifigure selection is also pretty basic with Techno Zane, Mindroid, and General Cryptor, which is probably the highlight of this entire set. One thing I will give credit for though is the weaponry. The weapons are actually pretty nice and give this set a better look. Now we move on to Tournament of Elements, a wave filled with absolute bangers like the Boulder Blaster, Enter the Serpent, the Chondrite Copter Attack, and so much more. But the most disappointing set in my opinion is the Electromech, and no, I'm not talking about the disastrous Legacy 4+ version. I'm talking about the original. Compared to how it looks in the show, this mech is such a downgrade. It could have been 10 times better. As exposed studs, exposed Technic, the arms are barely covered, and the legs are incredibly basic. The swords mounted on the back are also way too long for the size of the mech. I think using the standard LEGO sword pieces would have looked much better. I do like the weapon selection though. The double stud shooters are nice, and it includes the Jade Blade, which was a great choice. As for the minifigures, that's exactly what you would expect from 150 piece set. Jay and an Chondrite Warrior. There's not much else to say. Now for Season Peak, Possession. This wave was honestly incredible. Wolves Dragon, Moros Dragon, City of Sticks, Titan Mech Battle. There are so many amazing sets. Genuinely, I don't dislike any of them, but for the sake of the video, I'm picking the Blaster Bike. It's a fun little build, but when you compare it to everything else in this wave, I just don't like it the same. The minifigure selection is pretty basic. There are some exposed Technic, and the side build is kind of forgettable. Is it bad? Not at all. Anything special? Also no. I just think every other set from this wave offers offers more, and for around 200 pieces though, it's a solid build. Moving on to Skybound, my pick is Cole's Dragon. Now I know I said it has to be a significant build, and in my defense, this kinda is. It's one of the larger small scale dragons. It does represent a dragon very well compared to some other small dragons, the ones we see modern days. The minifigure selection is pretty generic, although Cole's version is technically exclusive since it doesn't include the ghost face. The build itself is okay. Considering the piece count, I understand why, but it's basically just a smaller version of the original Earth Dragon without any particularly new. The color scheme is also the same as the original Earth Dragon, so it just feels like a polybag, but it's an official set. For season 7, we have some fantastic sets like the Samurai VXL, Iron Doom, and the Fusion Dragon, and more. But my least favorite set has to be the Destiny Shadow. This is the third version of the Destiny's Bounty ever, and honestly it looks like a knockoff version that you can find on Alibaba. The minifigure area is much smaller than it appears, and the color scheme doesn't resemble the Destiny's Bounty at all. Using sand green just doesn't work on a Destiny's Bounty. If LEGO had used more tan pieces like the actual ship, I think it would have looked much better. The front of the ship also looks very strange. Overall, this just doesn't feel like a Destiny's Bounty, and if you've noticed the pattern by now, LEGO really loves putting Cole in the worst sets. Now for season 8, the first set that comes to mind is the SOG headquarters. This is honestly such a huge disappointment. Unless you're buying it for the Snake Jaguar minifigure, I really don't see much reason to pick this one up. The build feels unfinished and easily could have benefited from another 200 pieces. You've got a pretty useless saw blade, one of the weakest Spinjitzu spinners ever made, a spinning wheel, a decent Baigen, and probably the best thing in the set, the Mask of Hatred, which is the most common Oni mask. You could get the mask in the Nightcrawler and the Temple of Resurrection, making it the most common Oni mask. The gate itself actually looks pretty good, but unfortunately that's about it. The minifigure selection is also pretty boring outside of Snake Jaguar. Overall, this is one really disappointing set. For season 9, this isn't necessarily a bad set, it's more of a set that could have been so much better, and that's the Oni Titan. Personally, I think LEGO should have put more effort into this set instead of the Dragon Pit. The arms are way too small, and the head honestly looks like you could just lick it with your finger and it would just come off. Instead of using sand green pieces, adding more plant elements would have made this build feel more alive. There's also almost no purple used to represent the Oni energy. Instead, LEGO went with the dark blue, which honestly doesn't make much sense. The minifigure selection is also pretty bland. The only exclusive part is Lloyd's upper mask piece, which isn't enough to justify buying this set if you're collecting season 9 sets. Hopefully we get a proper Legacy remake of this build because it deserves so much better. And speaking of Legacy, for Legacy there are plenty of sets that I could choose from, but to keep things simple, I'm only covering the first 2 waves. My pick is the Legacy Samurai mech. Compared to the original mech, it's just so much smaller. Instead of improving the original design, LEGO somehow made it worse. The left arm is just literally 2 swords, which doesn't look great, and the right hand is just a clip piece that could have been designed much better. Now, the mech itself is actually not terrible. If this had been the original design, I'd probably like it more, but because it's supposed to be a remake, I expect something that is better than the original instead of taking a step backwards. Overall, it's a pretty disappointing remake. And that is it for part 1, and there's still a lot more seasons to cover, and I think I did pretty good for the first half, but let me guys know what you think about these rankings. Let me know what you would change for any season, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and please subscribe. See you guys in the next video. Peace.